Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for filling out the poll. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Angela Alexander, and I'm here with Jean Tong, my colleague, and both of us work in the Education and Research Group, and our focus is supporting K-12 educators across Canada. And we want to help you with your journey with ArcGIS. So throughout the session, if you have any questions, please add them to the Q&A. Jean will be monitoring them, and we'll do our best to address the questions at the end of the presentation. So Ken and Jill will be recording this session, and they'll share it with you later. You require a ArcGIS Online account for the session. So if you don't have one, please go to k12.esri.ca to sign up, and you can find the link in the chat window. So thanks for filling out that poll for me. So I have an idea of people. Most of you have some experience and have done some activities, used our resources from our resource finder. So that's great to know. And for those who haven't, this is great. You're going to get introduced to some of our resources. So welcome to today's hands-on session, where you're going to discover some fun and quick activities that will cover geographic information systems and mapping concepts to engage your students. So you can follow along. The link will be in the chat window. And the agenda we're covering today is what are mapping activities, why mapping activities, and you get to choose your mapping adventure. So you're going to get an opportunity for hands-on. So you get to choose your resource and work on it today. So we selected these resources to highlight geography topics and ArcGIS Online skills for users of all levels. So why mapping activities? These were put together to engage students in their learning, and they take between 10 to 30 minutes to complete. Of course, depending on the user, that might be more or that might be less. They cover topics tied to curricula across Canada, like Canadian landforms, mapping, and data analysis. The activity categories that we've put together include Canadian geography, global geography, get started with ArcGIS Online, discover data, explore the new map viewer, amazing analysis, and elementary activities. So I want you to consider, like, what type of activities do you want to explore? But before we dive into them, I want to go and show you a recent activity that we've created. And it's great because it ties in earthquake data that, recent earthquake data that you can get from a website, from the USGS website. And then you can bring that in to the new map viewer. And you'll be able to create a map very quickly and also analyze your map. So this resource is called Quick Data Cool Map. So I'm going to show you the resource here. And so the first thing you'll do is you'll go to the USGS site. So part one is you'll go to this site, and I've opened it up here. And you will see on the right-hand side all the different data that you can have access to. So in the past hour, past day, the past 7 days, and the past 30 days. And this is specifically GeoJSON data. So GeoJSON, what is that? It's something that you might not be familiar with. So it's an open standard geospatial data interchange format that represents simple geographic features and their non-spatial attributes. So in this format, we're able to select. So in this case, we're going to select the past 30 days for all earthquakes. And as we click on that, it opens up to a different page. And this is something we're going to copy. So the URL, we copy that. So Control C. And then we're going to go and open ArcGIS Online. So I have the new map viewer opened. So if you are here, so I think most of you might be used to seeing this map viewer. So we would go and open in map viewer. So they don't call it the new map viewer, but we call it the new map viewer because all our resources, or most of our resources up to date, are using the classic one, is what they would call. So we call this one the new one. So the first thing is we're going to go to add, and we're going to select GeoJSON. So you can see there's a lot of different formats of data that you can add into the new map viewer, including GeoJSON. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to put the URL in here. And so I just Control V for paste, and then I'm going to add that to the map. And now we can see in the last 30 days, these are all the earthquakes that have occurred around the world. So automatically, I can see that there are already patterns, right? With my eyes, I can see that. So there are a few things that we can do here. We can change the look of it. The first thing is I'm going to change the base map. So I'm going to change it to the oceans base map. And then I can go and make some changes to the style. So on the right-hand side, and we have tutorials that go through the different, the new map viewer, so you can learn about the basics and how to access the different windows. So the first thing is we want to look at a heat map. So doing a quick analysis, we can see that there's heat maps here, but the colors are not great. So we can change that style option here and change it to something that is easier to visualize. So I'm going to select that, and we can see right away it's really easy to see. And we can see that there are definitely patterns here on the west coast of North America. So this is a really quick and easy resource that you can use with your students. And this was, it's called the Quick Data Cool Map. And you can see that part 1 is looking at the data. Part 2 is creating that cool map and adding that information. So you can watch the videos in this resource, and then there's additional next steps. So if you want to explore, other things like filters and adding and searching for layers, you can do that as well. So now you get to choose your mapping activity. So I'm going to open up this new resource hub that I put together for this particular workshop, where you can select based on the categories that we put together. So you can explore some Canadian geography activities, looking at landforms, looking at Canadian geography, and then food security as well. You can look at global geography. So the one that I just showed you is in there, including this where people live, exploring the world at night. If you're interested in getting started with ArcGIS Online, or maybe need a refresher, these are some great resources to get started. Also, if you're interested in data, there are 2 resources here that are great. So looking at discovering data, so adding and searching for data, and then learning how you can find authoritative data using ArcGIS Online. And then, as I mentioned, the new map viewer. There are 2 documents in here. They're tutorials to get you started. And then analysis. You can go and explore some analysis tutorials in here, looking at earthquakes, and then looking also at the scene viewer, which is an application in ArcGIS Online that allows you to visualize data in 3D. And then the last one are for the elementary teachers or educators that can use these activities to get the students exploring as well. So let's go back here. So you can choose your activity, and then once you start, learning more, there might be other things you want to continue learning, and that takes us to that resource finder. So keep in mind that the examples here are just a short number of examples. We have a lot more activities, lessons, and tutorials that you can use in your ArcGIS journey. So you can go there by going to the K-12 website and then finding the resource finder. Or you can click on here and it'll take you right to the resource finder. So I'd like to give you some opportunity to work on the activities. And I guess right now we can see if there are any questions in the chat that anyone has or put in there. And Jean, I was just curious about the poll.
The poll has had 8 votes.
Okay, great.
And 75% say yes. And
great.
Yep, I have used activities before, so I'll let everyone else do the rest of the math because lots of math involved with GIS. There was a question that it wasn't so much, I don't think specific to what you were showing, but just about having a problem with the default Mercator projection and how easily we can change that other than importing a base map that's more geographically realistic. So great question. And there definitely you can, there's a lot of different projections you can actually use within ArcGIS. So I'm going to note that down and see if I can get a link to you in the chat, or
yes.
we can include it in the follow-up, but I'll mute myself and go get a good response together for that one.
Yeah, that is a really good question.
And there were 2, I think there were maybe just 2 people that are in your session that maybe don't have an account or didn't have an account yet, and you've both been sent an invite.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, Jean. So now you have some opportunity to work on an activity or 2, and maybe you want to try the one that I just showed. I think that one's really fun in exploring. And in that tutorial, you will see additional, changing the symbology. So in the videos, you can see more information. So I'm just going to go back here. So there are videos in here that show you how to do stuff. So this is looking at the USGS, and then this is actually how to add that earthquake data into the new map viewer, and then additional steps that you can try, like filtering, and what else was there? Doing a heat map. So thank you. We're around. So if you have any questions, feel free to add that to the chat window, or sort of the Q&A window, and Jean will get that to me. Thank you. So we can touch base again at 2:45 and see if there's any questions. Hi, everyone. We have a couple more minutes. I was just wondering if you could put in the Q&A window, the resource that you worked on, and any feedback about it. That'd be great. Thank you.
Angela, I'm going to stop you for a minute because I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. No, I guess,
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm hoping that you found those activities useful that you worked on. And I just wanted to tell you more about the resource finder, where you can find all these activities and other resources as well to continue your journey. And so it's k12.esri.ca, and then you can go to the resource finder here. And you can search by subjects, resource subjects, or resource types. There are activities in here. They're ready to use, like the quick data cool map one that I showed you for the demonstration. There's gallery of web apps and web maps as well, and lessons, tutorials, and then videos and course collections. Jean, did anyone put in any information about what they worked on during the time?
There definitely, well, there have been questions. So
Okay.
we haven't had, although we do know there was some working on earthquakes lesson, but
Okay.
nothing else. But there have been questions happening. Typing
Okay,
away.
great. Thank you. In regards to the first question regarding the projections, you could definitely bring your data into the scene viewer. So if we go to, I mentioned it in my presentation. So if you go to the analysis, amazing analysis section, there is a 6x6 on the scene viewer, and you can bring in your data. So your 2D data can be viewed in on a globe in 3D. So that's another way that you can, have just see your data in a different way. So if you sign in and you go to scene, this is where you can access that application. Are there any questions that, Jean, that have come in that I should mention or answer? So this is the scene viewer. So now it's loaded, and you can see that this is a great way to, access, data and also view your data. So we can look at layers in here. So this one is looking at the lat and long, the main meridians in here. And we can also add layers. So we can we can add those GeoJSON layers that we did earlier in the map viewer. We can also browse for layers in here. So just like in the map viewer, we can do that. So let's just see, we can add in tectonic plates. So we can add that in here. And then uncheck that. Let's see. Remove that. And so now we can have a look at those tectonic plates in a globe. So that's pretty cool. And just like a lot of our features, on a map here, we can click on that and see what that information is. So this is the Arabian Plate. So I think this is a great way to, look at different perspective of your data. But if there aren't any other questions, I just wanted to go through what we did today. So we talked about mapping activities that you can do with your students, and you were able to learn why, add, why use these activities in your class. And then also you had the opportunity to choose a mapping activity or two, depending on the length of it, and do them yourself. And I hope that you can, that you can use these activities in the fall and perhaps explore more of them in our resource finder. Are there any other questions, Jean?
Sorry, there are questions. I'm trying to get to them to respond to them.
Yeah, no
problem.
problem.
If we don't get to respond to all of them now, then we've got who's here. So we'll be following up with you. Sorry. So yeah, I'm just.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for attending. Yeah, I can see that there are questions now that I'm not sharing. And we will definitely follow up. And CanGeo records the session, so you should get access to it if you need to review anything that we went through. And we both appreciate your attendance, participation in the workshop today. And I hope this is something you can use in the upcoming year. But thank you, and enjoy the rest of your summer, and have a good one.